90 and 92.
In 1990 and 92, he ran first the New York Marathon and then the London Marathon in Rockport dress shoes, and it became quite a campaign. He ran 2:49, so not too shabby. So
Yeah.
I have to put my glasses on. So from there, he was the principal of Vibram USA, and he was actually Vibram, excuse me, and was responsible for the launch and the growth of the five-finger shoe phenomenon, which kind of further continued his product and design philosophies, and has resulted in the founding of the brand you see here today, TOPO, in 2013. So, just had a couple of questions. So, with so many successful shoe brands on the marketplace, and what was the motivating thought behind TOPO, and how many times have you thought, like, what the hell did I get myself into?
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for hosting me. It's great to be in Agoura Hills because I live in Boston and it's probably about 9 degrees outside right now. So thanks for letting me be here. And it's great to see so many people at these events. Sometimes you do a demo event and there are only 8 or 10 people. So I started TOPO. It'll be 10 years in August. And I was a runner in college. I ran competitively for years after college, but I always either overtrained and I got injured a lot. And to be perfectly honest, my shoes didn't fit my foot very well. And so after working in the industry for so many years, I decided to make some shoes that fit my foot. And that's kind of what we tried to do with TOPO. So TOPOs may not be for everybody. I will say that right off the bat. But for a lot of people, it is a wonderful solution. There's a lot of room up in the front for your toes to spread and splay. But I didn't want a shoe that felt sloppy. So I wanted a shoe where you felt secure in the waist and in the heel. So it felt attached to your body. You felt more nimble, more agile, even though you need your toes for balance, control, and it just feels good, you know, to be able to move your body like that. So that was a lot of the motivation. And then partly I was influenced by my experience with Five Fingers. Five Fingers was never my idea to be this ultimate distance running shoe. For me, it was kind of an arrow in the quiver where you could strengthen the muscles in your feet and lower legs, even if you just wore them walking or wore them casually, because I know when you take away your shoes, you really use your feet much more. And when your feet are stronger and healthier, you're less likely to be injured. So we wanted to introduce some of those characteristics, but do it with a little more cushioning or a little more protection. And that's what we were trying to create with TOPO. I think that our main thing is why I love coming to events like this, and thank you for hosting this and having so many people, is we love the feedback, because we know the only way we can get better as a company is to listen to what people have to say. And there isn't any one shoe that works for everybody. But we can learn from these events, you know, lots of little things that we didn't know that we can put into the shoes to just make them better. And for me, after being in the industry for so many years, I just am happy to see so many people in the last couple of years, especially since the pandemic, getting outside, running, being more focused on health and wellness. And, you know, it's very rewarding to work in an industry where you're a part of that. So kudos to you guys for, you know, all enjoying this time together too.
Thank you. It's actually a very exciting time in the shoe industry, and even on the retail side of things, because there's so many emerging brands that just have, you know, kind of cool cachets to them. And as Tony was saying, like, not every brand is for everybody, but it's really nice that the small brands can establish and emerge and continue to grow. I will say from the TOPO side for us, they have reached out to us for input on product, and they have always been very receptive to the feedback, both positive and critical of what's happening within the brand. So one of the questions that always emerges from the floor, and so I wanted to pass this on to you, was, so, you know, these shoes, you know, they look different for sure. Like, you look down on your foot and, you know, you have kind of a wide area to splay your foot out, develop some power, and there's a lot of biomechanical arguments supporting for these kind of designs. But I wanted to ask, what's the strangest reaction you've had when, you know, like, people trying the shoes on, looking at them, and then what's the biggest resistance to people adopting to what is arguably, sound medical and biomechanical, data supporting for this kind of shape.
Yeah, so as I said, we do get funny reactions sometimes, but we do try to make the shoes, I'm not the most stylish guy, I admit, but I do myself, always want to try to look good, and I think all of us have a natural instinct to try to look good. It's funny, you could have said the same thing about a brand like Hoka 7 or 8 years ago. You would have said, those shoes look ridiculous with that enormous sole, and then you see how popular a brand like that is today. So I just believe, I have to make something that works first, and for me, that's the most important thing. And so the design is something that we really believe in, and it's at the heart of who we are. We want to make it as appealing or attractive to people as we can, but it's most important that the shoe functions. And when you talk about funny reactions, so I got into a discussion with a guy at a trade show who was trying to tell me that the best way to run is to have your toes all bunched together as tightly as possible. And this was coming from somebody who I don't really think had ever really run, but had a scientific background and was trying to argue with me about that. So I gave him kudos for all of his scientific credibility, but I said, once you're out there and actually doing it, and so a lot of what we learn, sure, we spend a lot of time in the lab and we have people do a lot of research, but a lot of people in our company are all runners. Every model we create, we test ourselves. And while they may not always work for everybody, if they work for the people that we're testing and we can gather feedback, that's kind of what drives our direction. So we're not as much of a cosmetically driven brand as maybe some others, but I do believe in the functionality of the product.
So just to go to that, I do a lot of backpacking and hiking and things like that, and I will say trail people especially have been early adopters to this kind of foot shape. And if you go up into the Sierras or Colorado trails and places like that, you will not find people in hiking boots. You will not find people in road flats. You will find people in shoes that are shaped like a foot. I will tell you that. So with going forward, so what are the growth opportunities and future products that you guys are looking forward to?
Yeah, so I do love trail. I mean, that's an important part. So we have quite a few new trail shoes coming, exciting stuff. I used to be involved with the Leadville Trail 100, for anybody who knows that event. So have paced people multiple times through that event, and that always holds really a special place for me. So anybody who's done some of these trail events, short or long, I mean, it's an incredible experience, and it's inspiring to me. So we're doing more trail product and trying to build product that holds up to all of the different ways you want to interact with TOPO. So we do have some faster, lighter. We have a women's racing shoe coming that weighs about 5.5 ounces. That'll be out next month. We have, as I mentioned, some trail shoes. We have some shoes now that are designed for recovery. Our company grew about 70% last year. We're now distributed in 20 countries. So even though you may not know about it as much here yet, I hope that you'll, learn something and maybe share. And if you like the brand, tell your friends. If you don't, maybe just keep it down a little bit. You still have kids at home. No, but it's, it's always fun to be creating something new, and the market's constantly changing. So you are the inspiration for a lot of what we do. We do try to spend as much time out in the field at these kinds of things because we always learn a lot, and hopefully it leads to making better product.
Thank you. So again, we wanted to thank Tony for coming up and being gracious to take some time here. He's got a very busy schedule, just checking out kind of the territory and things like that. And for those of us that are active and run or hike or do a variety of activities, we all have a quiver of shoes, that we work through. And so, I think you should definitely consider the brand in terms of one of those arrows in your quiver. So thank you very much for coming, and we wish you continued success. If anybody wants to take the time just to speak to Tanya one-on-one, please avail yourself to that, because we don't get many opportunities, especially with emerging brands. It's really exciting. They really do listen to both, the positive and also to the critical. So please take advantage. So we missed last month, and I know that was Jen's birthday. So happy birthday, girl.